Hello, those who are coming in. Say hi in the chat box and say hi. Oh, we've got 2 Paul Baileys. It's great. So we've got a few of you coming in. I will get started in a few minutes. What I will say for those who are coming in, I apologize for the noise of my dog. He's having a moment, which dogs always do when you're on Zoom. I know that a few people have had a few issues with Eventbrite this evening, so just waiting for a few more people to come in, then we're going to get started.
Hey Julian, I've checked Eventbrite and it's still not working properly, so we may or may not get people joining us, but I'll keep an eye on.
That's okay.
I'll keep an eye on my emails and everything and push people through as they come through. But we had, I think Lisa mentioned about the session earlier that we had a handful turn up because of issues with not being able to get the link from Eventbrite to join.
That's absolutely fine. It means that the people who are here will get a very bespoke session just purely for them.
Lovely.
So that's fine. So firstly, thank you for coming along, guys, for these sessions. The sessions have been designed specifically for supply teachers and those who do work in education, if that's what they want. Now, my own background, when I first started teaching, I did start as a supply teacher. I worked as a sessional lecturer, moving around different places. So I kind of wrote this course and the following session really thinking about how is it best going to support you. It's no point showing whiz bang wow stuff. It's about thinking, how can I show tools that are going to help assist you in your role as you kind of go through it. Now, Beth from the NEU and myself, we've known each other for about 4 or 5 years. And when we first met, it was delivering digital teaching. And we were kind of going, this is going to be huge. It's going to be something that's going to be big. And I think we had a lot of people kind of go, yeah, okay, that sounds lovely. But what we found over the last 1.5 years is that, it really has become a lot bigger. And it's something that we do need to be aware of. In this session today, my aim is to showcase the software that you can use, 1, for free, and 2, that you're going to find in a lot of the settings that you go and work in. So I'm going to be looking at Google tools, and I'm going to be looking at Microsoft Office tools, and look at how we can implement them either using Google Classroom or using Microsoft Teams, or things like Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas, and Hub. So how can you implement all of these kind of bits and pieces together? Now, when I deliver these sessions, I will be sharing my screen. However, if I'm talking about something and for some reason I decide not to share it, I will have Beth, who's in the call box below, who will shout at me and tell me to make sure it shares it. Now, if you do have any questions or queries about the thing I'm going to talk about there and then, please put them in the chat box as I go. I also have a tendency to rush ahead with my ideas. And if you do want me to recap anything or a step-by-step process, please, again, just put it in the chat box or the question box. I'm more than happy to stop and re-show it. It is being recorded, and I know that Lisa or Beth will put it on YouTube later on if you do want to catch back with anything. So let's get started. So what I want to start with today is looking at, firstly, not that page. That's a great start, isn't it? I want to start with by looking at some of the key features of the Google Classroom. And you may have access to a Google Classroom, or you may have one of your own that you use. And it is a great tool for really kind of sharing a lot of information. Now, part of this, why I like it so good, is that Google has provided a load of free software, which is nice, clear, and simple to use. And one of the first tools I want to use is kind of one of the understated tools on there, predominantly because people look at it and go, okay, it's quite simple, but you can do some quite elaborate things with it. So when you go onto Google or you go into Google Classroom, you'll see this 3x3 grid at the top right. And this is the Google applications. Now, under the Google applications, if you scroll down, you'll see one that's called Jamboard. Now, Jamboard is a completely free software that is available online, so you will need an internet access to use it. But it's something that we can use for a range of different settings to really support our students. And it's something, more importantly, that you can build at home and take out and use at different settings again and again and again. So when you start your Google Jamboard, here's my one, you'll see at the bottom right, you'll see this plus symbol. What we'll do is we'll hit plus, and that's going to create what they call a new jam. Now, it is effectively, just think of it like a giant piece of flip chart paper. And this flip chart paper can be used for a different series of tools. We can set the background. So if I set the background, I may want to make it a little bit more friendly for topic sensitivity. I've got one with graph paper on it. So let's say, for example, I'm going to put an image on this. So if I want to change it to a certain color, what I might put in here is, if I type in light blue, that's nice blue, and I'm going to set that as the background. Nice. So I've now got this little bit clearer background for me. Now, down the left-hand side here, you'll see there's a series of buttons. And the thing I like about the Google tools, and that's quite useful for all levels of students, whether it's in a primary education, secondary, FE or HE, is that, keep it simple. And this is what Google does effectively. So I have got a pen where you can write freehand on it. However, I wouldn't, unless you've got a stylus and you use it on an iPad or a tablet. I really wouldn't use that. It looks terrible. I can just erase that, so it does have those features, which are quite nice. But the most useful one really is this sticky note. So say, for example, I want to share a view. So let's make a basic worksheet. So let's look at making a debate task for our students. So what I've got here, there we go, I've got two sticky notes, for and against. And I can add some different shapes in here. Let's put a shape. So I'm going to go for a rectangle, because what I want to have is a dividing line between the two. And then I can fill that in with a color. Okay. So what I've created here is my basic first worksheet. So let's say, for example, I want the students to think about the fors and against of, I don't know, owning a dog. Okay, so actually, let's make this even better. I'm going to add an image. And I'm going to go to Google Drive, not Google Drive, Google Images. There we go. And I'm going to search for dog. That's a nice dog. There we go. I'm going to insert this. Again, the simple thing with this, I can easily manipulate pictures, move them around. And here's my first worksheet. So what I want for this is I want the students to add their own post-it notes to the fors of owning a dog and the against of owning a dog. So all the students need to do is exactly as I've just done, is they click sticky notes, they type in, so the fors, the wonderful, there we go. And they can save that, and then they can move the little post-it note to wherever they want it to go. Now we've got to think, how can we get this to the students? How can we get this out to them? So what I'm going to do is, firstly, where it says Untitled Jam, I'm going to name it. So I'm going to put there dog debate. Now, anything that's done through this Jamboard gets saved to your Google Drive, which I'll show you that later on. So it's always stored, it's auto-saved, and it's useful. Let's look at the different ways that we can share this. So at the moment, it's private only to me, but by hitting that share button, I'm going to get a few options here. So I can either share it by adding, say, for example, I've got it linked to a Google Classroom. I may want to put it to a certain Google Classroom I have, or I may want to put in, you know, the name of a person. What I can also do, if I go to share, is I can send it to anyone with the link. So let's go to change to anyone with the link, and I now have a few options, and this is key for us to remember. At the moment, anyone with a link can view it. That means they can look at what's on there, but they can't edit it. If I want the students to add their own post-it notes, I'm going to click Viewer, and I'm going to change that to Editor. So I'm just going to kind of go through that again, just to make it nice and clear. So here's my worksheet I've made. I'm going to go to Share. I'm going to go to Change, so I can set it to anyone with a link. I'm going to go to Viewer, and I'm going to go to Editor. So what I can do now is I can just copy that link. The options here, say for example, I'm teaching a class online. I can go straight to my chat box. So I'm going to go to my chat box, and I'm going to paste in a link. So if you want to click on that link that's in the chat box, you'll be able to take part in this worksheet. So if you'd like to click on that chat box and click on that link, you'll be able to be part of this page. So if you want to have a go at that, I'll show you how it looks. You can also then add what you think the pros and cons are of owning a dog. Because right now mine's whinging. Here we go. So I can see now, as the teacher, from a synchronous perspective, who is working on this sheet. Now, you can, if they log in with their Gmail account, they, you know, their name will appear. If they log in like I've given it to you guys, you'll come up as anonymous. So right now I can see a student is live on this worksheet, and they're adding their own post-it notes. So quite a simple little activity that you can set out for students on there. What I can also do with this, because I've started to share it. Oh, I'll post it again, just in case anyone hasn't got it. So there you go. I've posted the link on there. Let me just make sure everyone gets access to that. So you should now see the link in the chat box. There we go. So I can now see how many people are in my chat room and taking part. Expensive. Yeah. Especially when they're a puppy. I'll assure you of that. Definitely. So I can see, as the tutor, live right now, how many people are in my chat room, how many people are taking part in this activity. Now, Smelly, high maintenance. Hope this is not in the 4 box that you're putting this. So straight away, I've got an interactive activity made off a very basic tool that's in front of us. And this is something that you can create at home and you can have a bank of. So let's go now to where it's stored. So if I go to My Drive, which is part of the Google series. So if you go, to find it, go to your Google Apps and you'll see Drive. And that's where you store all your material. And you get 15 gigabytes of storage, which is absolutely huge. To fill 15 gig, you've got to put a lot of worksheets on there. And I can see that file right there. There it is. Now, the benefit of also having it in the drive like it is right now, let's say, for example, I want to do the dog debate for one school, and I want to do the same activity, but with another school tomorrow. What I can do is I'm just going to right-hand click, and I'm going to go to make a copy. And what that will do is it will copy absolutely everything that's on that worksheet. And I now have, there's one, and the other one is further up. But I now have 2 copies of that exact worksheet. There we go, copy of dog debate and dog debate. And again, I can right-hand click on this. I can go rename, and say, for example, I want to call this dog debate, and this is for where when I'm working at St. Mary's School. So I don't have to recreate it. All I'm doing is copying and pasting, and I can use the same activity in multiple different places. There we go. You guys are enjoying that. That's good. So how do I link this to Google Classroom? So I can set it in quite a few different ways, but the best way to set it, I always find, is let's go to classwork, and I want to create this as an assignment. So if I go to create, and I'm going to create this as an assignment, and I'm going to call this the dog debate, because that's original. So all I can do is I can add my instructions, add your opinions to the debate. You may want to put a little bit more information, that's absolutely fine. And then all I do is I go to my Google Drive. And what that will do is it will show me the most recent file. There we go. And I insert that. Now, before I even assign it, I've got a few ideas to think about here. I can allow the students to view the file. I can allow the students to edit the file, or I can make a copy for each student. Now, this is quite important, especially for the next task. But I want to think about this. When I've got the worksheet, do I want the students just to look at it? Do I want the entire class to look and partake and edit the file? Or do I want to create one, but for each student to have their own individual debate board? If I make a copy for each student, if I've got 30 students, it means that that debate gets copied 30 times, and I get sent back the individual worksheet. So if I want to have one where I just see individual students' work, I hit make a copy for each student. If I want the whole class to edit the same one, like you guys are doing right there, then all I would do is I go students can edit the file, and this allows the whole class. Now let's say, for example, that I want 5 students to work on a topic, and I want another 5 to work in a group, and I want another 5 to work in a group. The way you would do this is, again, you go students can edit the file, but I'd go where it says for my class, I'd unclick all students, and I'd select the ones I want it to go to. So say I just want it to go to that 5 there, and that's one team. And then I hit assign. Again, you can set a due date if there's an assignment date, and I can assign a rubric to it if there's a learning outcome rubric, which you may have. And then I hit assign. I would do that, and then I'll do it again, the same process with the other 5 students, and the same process again with the other 5 students. This means then if I have a class of 30, I set it 6 times to hit. So each 5 students are working in a group. And then I'd hit assign. Now what this does is it sends out my work task to the students, and they have this Jamboard to play, partake, and add their own bits of information. And that's one practical use of using Jamboard for it. The other thing I really like about Jamboard as opposed to some of them is how you've got this little section at the top, which is kind of like a slideshow. But if I hit on this next box here, which says create frame, what it does is it adds me another blank frame. So on this one, again, I want to have a, say for example, I want a different color because I have a learner who likes light pink, because that works a little bit better for their eyes. Let's find a light pink. Oh, that one's good. I'm going to set that as my frame background. And what I want to do here is I want to do a Venn diagram. I'm trying to clear that frame. Now, the Venn diagram, if I go to the bar, there we go. I'm going to pick a circle. Now, what I want to have is I want to take this the idea of sharing ideas to another level. So I'm going to draw in one circle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the fill color and I'm going to make it transparent. And that's quite important. And then I'm going to copy and paste it. So I'm going to duplicate it. There we go. And I'm going to have that section there. Now, by making it transparent, especially if you're doing like a Venn diagram on Jamboard, it keeps that section there, which is quite important for meeting the needs of it. Let's make it a little bit bigger, my circles, because otherwise it's going to be a little bit difficult. There we go. I'm just going to change this background because I don't really like how that's looking. There we go. So, you know, the example I could give here, again, I'm just going to add some text in this time. So I'm going to add a text box in and say in this box, I want to have the benefits of going to college. So what you do in a college and what you do in an apprenticeship. Let's say that's the task I want them to do. You know, what the similarities between going to college and going to work. So what do you do at college? What do you do at work? And I've got now same sort of activity as the first one. It's the same principles. They go on, they put a post-it note, but you can instantly make it a little bit higher order, especially if you're catering it for a different needs. Now, this is this is something where we can start to share these ideas with students and allow them to partake. There we go. We've got somebody who's putting stuff straight onto it, and they can add to it. This is something we can also deliver in our own classroom. So this is something that I can have in my classroom, and I can share it on the board, and we can get them to put their post-it notes up there. So they can either come up to the board and they can do it, and it's a nice, simple activity. It's a great tool to use. The next practical use of Jamboard, again, because I'm always thinking about how can you put together a bank of information that's going to be beneficial for you, is interactive worksheets. And I love the idea of an interactive worksheet. So I always thought of the example of like a heart diagram, you know, where you put the labels in the right place. Now, this is where my biology GCSE is lacking, you know, because I had to really read up on this to make sure I could do it correctly. But let's say, for example, I want to make an interactive worksheet, and I've literally just typed in easy heart diagram, and I want them to label the parts of a heart. So I've just typed in easy heart diagram. Let's find one without labels. No labels, because that's all you type in. Oh, that's a nice one. Brilliant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this image to my my desktop. There we go. And I'm going to go to my Jamboard. I'll keep it on this one, but what you would do is you would open up a new one. You type a new name in there, and I'm going to add an image. And this time I'm going to upload it from my computer because it's something that I have on my computer. And I'm going to try and remember what the name of it was, which I think is that one there. There we go. Wonderful. So I've now got my basic worksheet. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make some sticky notes, and I'm going to put in the labels of where I want them to go. I'm going to disappoint all the science teachers, I'm afraid, because I'm probably doing this massively wrong, but I just kind of guessed these. But what I can do is I can take all these labels and I can just put them on the side. Now, what I want to have is I want to have something where the students are expected to come along and move the labels as to where they think they should go. I know that's incorrect. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them here, here, and I'm going to put them here. There we go. Now, again, same as last time, I can share this individually. So let's go to change. Anyone with a link can edit it. Now, at the moment, I've got it set so that everybody can go in and they can play it. Yeah. But what I want to have is I want to have it so individuals can do it. Now, if you want to have it so it's an individual one for each one, what you would do is you would share it and you send it individually as an email address to that person. But what I would say to you here, easier again, is to go to your classwork and to set it as an assignment. So I'm going to go set, create it as an assignment. And again, I'm going to add the Google Drive file. And I'm going to put, remember we called it dog debate. And again, I'm going to go students can view the file. And I'm going to make a copy for each student. Now that means that I can then see who has labeled the parts correctly and who's put it together in the right manner using that tool. So that's the best way to do that one. So students can view the file, they can edit the file, or make a copy for each student. Think about what the purpose of this is. Is it shared understanding, or is it for that individual journey that we have there? Are there any questions or any sort of ideas or anything at all with regards to using Jamboard? Pop them in the chat box for the Q&A, and I'll just give a few minutes for you to kind of come back and go, this is something I'm thinking about. What sort of things can I help you with here? In the meantime, those who are science teachers or have a good understanding of biology can move those post-it notes in the correct spot. But any questions about Jamboard, please pop them in the chat box. I'll be happy to help. In that case, then I'll just challenge you to put those in the right, correct place, if that's okay. Let's see who can do that one. Have a good go and see if you can move them in the right area. Go for it, Sean. What's your chat box? So yeah, Sean's put a great point. It'd be a great way of creating an ABC of vocabulary when planning writing. You create a table of the alphabet and then link words. Oh, definitely. You know, so one of the things I've seen that I really like the idea of was even things like, you know, so I saw it with, you know, my Welsh is dreadful, so I'm going to go for French, you know, so they put different words in. This is again where my French gets destroyed by people. And what they had was, I know these are spelt wrong, I do apologize. You know, and the students had to kind of match up different animals and bits and pieces. So if I go Google Images and I go dog, there we go. It's because I can hear my dog being a pain downstairs. You know, something like this, it's about making something nice and simple. You know, I've seen it with, the great thing I saw was with Welsh classes, and they were combining the Welsh phrases with the picture. If we create a very basic task like this one for you to think about, there we go. You know, and in this task here, you can have the students, you know, have to then go, okay, you've got to draw a line and connect which animal. So, you know, they go, oh yeah, it's that one there, and then that one goes there. You know, it's about, the key thing with digital tools, and the thing I say to a lot of people is about, at the end of the day, the digital tool is integral, you know, but at the end of the day, it's the teacher who creates the idea and the learning should be the center of everything. The digital tool is just a method to help. Now, Sean's asked a great question, which is, can you tell which student has added which sticky note? You can when they're logged in through their Hub or their Gmail account. At the moment, I've just sent it to you guys as anonymous, so I can't see who's put what. But when they log in with the Hub or their Gmail account, you can see who's added what in there for them. So yeah, great question. So thank you for that. If we're all quite happy with Jamboard, I do want to move on and look at some more bits and pieces that you can utilize. Again, the idea being to think what great software is out there, what great software is useful that we can use. And I want to move on to another tool, again from the Google toolbox, and that is Google Forms. Now, the more you use something, the more it decides to move up and down. But if you can't find it, then what we're going to do is I'm just going to type in Google Forms into my search box. Now, Google Forms, again, you log in just with your Google account, your Gmail account. And it has two great uses for you to think about, again, considering the nature of the learners and their background. So I'm just going to start with a new blank form. Now, the first one I want to create is I want to make an interactive quiz. I want to make a quiz for students that I can send out. I can either do it in the classroom or I can send it to do asynchronously as homework or as additional work. On the start of this, again, give it a name. So I'll call it Quiz 1 because that's an exciting name. And I'm going to go to Settings. And here you'll see it says make this a quiz. So I'm going to make this a quiz. I can then either have the marks, so the students do the quiz, they can either get the marks straight away, or you can have it so you collate all the marks and then you can send the results back once you've got it. And I'll show you how you do that. So let's go to the sort of questions. Actually, I'm going to go back to settings. I'm going to have it as immediate because I want to send it to you guys to show you how it works. I don't want to collect the email address because I want to send it out to you guys. I want you guys to play around with it. There we go. Turn off email addresses because I don't want those. Again, maybe put some instructions in this first box, but then let's go to the questions that we can add. So the first question we're going to ask is just multiple choice. So I may have here, what year was the Battle of Hastings? There we go. And I then just click where it says option 1, and I can add further options as I go. There we go. And then all I do is go to answer key. I tick which one is the correct answer, and I assign the amount of points. Now I'm only going to give you 1 for that because I think everyone knows that one. What I can also do is I can add answer feedback. So if I hit answer feedback, if they put the correct answer, I can put a statement in there, or I can add a link or a video to something else. So if it's an incorrect answer, I may put, watch this video to help with your answer. I can then hit this little play button and I can put in a link to a video for them to watch. There we go. So if they get it wrong, it allows them to go, well, let's have another go again. Let's watch a video that will give me some assistance with it. I can also hit web link and it may take them to a web page or something else. If they get a correct answer, I put something in, something like that. There we go. Now, that's one question. I'm happy with that, done. Let's add another question. So what other sorts of questions can we answer in here? I want to put one in which I require an answer. Now, this is quite important for us to be aware of, and I'm going to kind of go through a few things as to why. So let's say, I say, what color is my coffee mug? Now, for this one, it's a short answer text. So I'm going to go to answer key, and I'm going to put the correct answer in here. So say, for example, the answer is blue. But I can add multiple answers. Now, this is important because when you're putting in an answer in via words, Google will only recognize the exact way that you wrote it. So, if the student puts in a lowercase letter for a proper noun, then it will mark it as incorrect, even though it's the correct answer. But I can put in multiple answers in here just in case, just kind of think, oh, they may make a mistake, but I don't want to penalize them for getting as such the theory right or the idea right. So I can put the correct way, multiple different ways to get those points. And again, same again, I can add answer feedback, I can put a web link, I can put a video in there to allow them to have that go of doing this. And I can assign a certain amount of points for that. Let's add one more in. So I've got my multiple choice, I've got my short answer, my paragraph, but I can have a drop down menu, I can have a paragraph with it, but I'm going to have the next one as I'm going to do a short answer again, but this time I'm going to add a picture. So let's go to Google image search and I'm going to type in, you may have a picture quiz. So, what is this country? Cool, there we go. Same again, go to my answer key and I can put in a number of different answers. Again, notice how, you may want to put, now if it's important that they know that capital F for France, what I can do is I can put here add answer feedback. So if they put the incorrect answer, I may want to write there, have you checked the capitalization of the country's name and so on in bits and pieces. And then we hit done. Now what I can do once I've made my quiz, I can preview it. So if I hit the preview button, this is what it looks like. Wonderful. And now I can share it. I can send this to students. Now I've got a few ways I can do this. I can either send it via email, I can send a link. I can also embed it into a Moodle or a Blackboard page or a Canva page if I want to embed it in as a direct document. If I have that as a web link, I can shorten that. I can put it into my Google Classroom. I can, put it onto any of the pages there. But just to make it a little bit simple, I'm going to copy it again, and I'm going to put it into the chat box for you. So what I'd like you to do, if click on that, have a go at the quiz. Let's see how good you are. And I'll show you how we now collate the responses. So if you do want to click on that link and have a go at that for me. And I'll show you how the quiz works. Let's see how good your history is. Brilliant. So as you can see from my screen, I've started to get a load of responses in. So all I do is I click responses, and from this I can see who's answered, how many have got the right answer. People have put in some of the answers here or the right country. I've got 4 responses straight away, and it's given me this data. I can analyze it by question as well. So if there is a specific, say for example, I get 5 out of 7 get their question wrong, I may think, okay, I need to readdress this. I need to look back at it. What was that pattern? And I can see it nice and clearly. I can see it nice and simply. I can also look individually. So I've not collected your email addresses on here, but I can go through each of the participants and look at who gave that, who gave what score, and so on. If I go back to my responses, there's my summary. I can see the average score, the median, the range, and it will also show me the insights for each of those questions. And it's nice, quick, and simple. I can see exactly where people are answering and how they're doing it. Now, the good thing as well with using this, you'll see this little logo up here which says create spreadsheet. And if I hit that button there, it will turn it straight away into it's Google's form of Excel. They call it Sheets. Basically the same, it's just a simpler version. but I've got that data, so I can see where the students are, what they've done, and I can, put it onto any form nice and easily and nice and quickly. And it is a great way of putting that together. And that's the Google version of Forms. So it is quite nice and simple. Now, Microsoft has got one very similar to this. And what Microsoft did was they've got one, but it's called Microsoft Forms. So the only difference is it's called Microsoft. Now, Microsoft Forms, again, available through an Office 365 account, which is free. You can get Office 365 online. And when you go to the Office one, you just go to New Quiz. Now, there's a key reason why I'm showing the Microsoft one and the Google Forms one. And I think it's because with the Microsoft one, I think there's a few little extra features which are really useful and be good for you to know. It's the same again. Let's follow very much the same steps. I'm going to give it the name, Quiz 1. Again, I can put my instructions in that opening box, and I'm just going to add my questions. Now I've got the few options again, exactly the same, where I've got the text. So let's do a text question. Well, actually, no, it was a multiple choice one. So I'm going to go add. I'm going to go multiple choice, and I'm going to put what year. Go. So I'm just going to put some answers in here. There we go. Now, with this one here, what I would do is I'd hit the little tick box for the correct answer. I can also hit that little speech bubble there, and I can add the little message. Now, with the Google one, you have the option to have specific videos come up, which is quite useful if you want them to have a go again. Maybe, watch this video. With this one here, you can put web links in it. So a web link for them to click on. So I could put in, if I had a YouTube file, they can have a web link. So maybe it's go to youtube.com to assist. Maybe that can be something for them to think about. And I'm going to put another one in again. So this time I'm going to go for the text. What color is mine? So very much again, I can add the answer here. So like with the last one, I can put multiple answers in where they may spell it incorrectly and just make sure that that's afforded to them so they can do that one. And I can add the amount of points that we get for that. There we go. And I'm going to add new again. Now what I can do with this, this next one I'm going to have here is I can have a ranking system. And this is quite a good one, this is. So so rank, let's say rank the countries by size. Oh, blimey. So what I'm going to do is, if I put the countries in, so let's go, God, this is where I have to. So at the moment, I've got it in the correct order. But what it will do is it will mix them up into the incorrect order. So that's another little task that you can put in there. I can also add in another one. So let's say, for example, it's a text answer. Now, what I can do here is I've got insert media, and I can insert an image or I can insert a video. So again, this time it doesn't have a direct connection with YouTube, but let's go to, so if I go to YouTube and I take a video, so here we go. Let's take a video. What I would do is I would just copy that YouTube link. I would go to my form and I would just paste the link in. So if I wanted them to have a question where I want them to watch a YouTube link, that's how I would do that. Oh, how big is the gap? Put the answers in, 50 foot. There we go. So I can preview this. Again, the great thing with the Microsoft one, I can see that's what it looks like on a computer. But it also automatically sets it up for those who do it on a phone or a tablet. So I can kind of see how does it look on a phone or a tablet. And that's quite good to see, especially when you're thinking about, is it accessible? Is it useful for students? I can add different themes to make it a little bit more exciting. You know, I can add my own themes if I have my own backgrounds, maybe one that's set for you. And then I'm going to go to share. Now, the great thing with the Microsoft products that I quite like about it is it gives you quite a few options here. I'm going to have it so that anyone can respond because I want to send it out to all of you. I can either give you a link, I can give you a QR code, which I can download. So maybe when on their mobile phones or their tablets, I can just have a QR on the screen and they do that. I can also embed it, especially for Moodle, Canvas, or I can email it. Now, the other benefit of doing it this way as well is I can also, I've got a collaboration link here. And this is quite useful if you're working with maybe 2 or 3 other teachers or educators and you want to all work towards making a quiz together. I can send you a link and that allows you to add your own questions to it. This is also quite a good way of flipping the classroom and getting students to, you know, your task is to work in groups of 5 to make your own quiz together. So you can do that. What I want to do for you though, is I'm going to send you this link and I'm just going to put it in the chat box. So very much same as previously. All I'm doing is popping a chat box, click on the link. Again, if I go on to say, for example, I do this on my, my Google Classroom, I can still put this link in as an assignment using Google Classroom. So if I go to create, I go to assignment, what I'm going to do here is where it says add link, I'm going to put the link in. There we go. So follow the link to complete the quiz. And then all I would do is I would assign it. So I go quiz and assign. So even though it's a Microsoft package, it still is something that can be used across lots of different ways. There's a really good reason why I do like the Microsoft ones. I'm going to go into that a little bit in the future. Same again, as you can see with the Google one, I have the option here to see straight away the responses, looking for patterns, looking for certain things that people have done. I can review the answers, so I can go through each individual correspondent, who put what and where, and I can look at it through questions. So it's quite a good way of getting a lot of data straight away for you to then maybe plan some future assessments for them or to give feedback to your setting. This is if you post the scores, if you want to withhold them, and then post the scores and it sends it back to them if they've put their email address in. Now, the great thing about this is something that you can make once and utilize over and over again, maybe make some adjustments for different settings that you're going into. The benefit I like about using Microsoft Forms packages is, let's say, for example, I'm a student and I've been asked to go on to, so I'm now on student mode and I've been sent the link. The great thing about using the Microsoft packages is that it has something called Immersive Reader. Now, as you can see here, if I go to a question, a little kind of book with a speaker appears. Now, Immersive Reader, if I click on this, is Microsoft's tool for assisting with reading, writing, and translation. So right now, what it's done is, I can, as a student, I can change the size of the text to make it a little bit more legible for me. I can increase the spacing. If there's certain fonts that I find a little bit easier, as well as backgrounds for Erland's and topic sensitivity, I can adjust that to suit my needs. What I can also do is I can change the voice and I can have it read to me. So I can have it read for me and make a little bit more suitable to assist me. What I can also do with the reading preferences, what you get with Immersive Reader, is I can translate it by document. So if I want this in, say for example, I want it in Welsh, I translate it by document, by Welsh, and now, maybe not the best, you may want to slow it down a little bit, but I can translate it. So if I have students, and maybe I've got students from Wales, Portugal, Brazil, Poland, Bulgaria, it can be translated. So you can make a quiz and make an activity that is available for everybody to take part in and be part of in the room together and engage with. So it's an easy way, again, what you're doing is you're creating one thing and using it in multiple different ways. Now it does have, if I go to, let's turn it back. It also has the picture dictionary, which is quite a nice little tool. So with the picture dictionary, they can click on a certain word, especially if they're unsure of what that word means, and then they can hear it again. So they can break it down. And this is Immersive Reader, and it's a great feature that all of the Microsoft packages have, and it's something for us to utilize and really support. Are there any questions at all, or any little bits about use of those two documents to support your own classroom? I hope that's been quite a useful kind of intro to some of the free packages available on Office and Google Slides that can support your classroom. Yeah, if you want to stop the children from deleting or editing your layout or other children's work, so Sean just put a great point in there, that she's cleared the frame on my Jamboard. With that, if you know that's going to be something of a problem, it's something that you can't lock it. You can with other software, which I'm going to show you some third-party tools next week. You can lock them, but with Jamboard, unfortunately, you cannot. But what I would be doing here, say for example, so let's go to Jamboard again. So if I know that, say for example, I'm going to start off, I'm going to make, so let's get rid of these. So I'm going to show you just a little way around this if you want to use Jamboard. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I want to make this my background instead. So what I can do here is if you go to your Office and type in snipping, there we go. I'm going to actually take that worksheet as an entire picture. There we go. And I'm going to save that to my desktop. Then what I'm going to do is let's clear the frame. So I'll clear the frame. I'm going to set the background. I'm going to go for an image, and I'm going to upload one from my computer. So I've just put one. I've just put one on my computer, and I can't remember what I saved it as. There it is, capture. So now they can't move anything off my screen because I've set it as the background. The issue is they still will be able to move other people's post-it notes and delete them if they feel like it, but that's one way of making sure they don't mess up your background for Jamboard. So use the snipping tool. That should stop them. But great question. Thank you for that, Sean. It's really appreciated. Any other questions at all? Please put them in the chat box. If not, I hope that's been a useful initial guide for using some of the great free software from Google and from Microsoft. In next week's session that we're running, I will be looking at some third-party applications, which, you know, because I'm a cheapskate, I'll be looking at the free versions of them and some of the things that we can do to help build a good library of stuff external that we can then take and use in our settings for digital learning. So someone asked a great question. If you're on supply, would you always have the send link as you wouldn't have their emails? So if you don't have the link for it and you're in the classroom, there's a few ways you can do it. So you can just get them to do it via a QR code. So let's say, for example, I want to share this with them. If you go to QR Reader, oh, actually, just type in QR Generator. I think it's called QR Generator. So the easiest way to share this with them is go to QR Code Generator. I'm going to take this one here. I'm going to go Share, and I'm going to change to anyone with a link, copy the link, and I'm going to go to QR Code Generator, and I'm going to drop it in, and then download it. Now, what this QR code will allow for is I can print this off, and they can scan it with their computer, or they can scan it with their tablet. Yeah, there we go. There's my QR code. And or their mobile phone or any other digital device they have, and I don't need their email addresses. So I can use that link there to create QR codes for them. So great question to ask there. You may not always have their email addresses, but you can still, if you create a QR code, it's a great way of getting it shared and out there for them. Any other questions, please pop them in the chat box. If not, thank you so much for coming along tonight. Really do appreciate you taking the time to attend these sessions, and I do hope it has been useful for you. Again, any questions, please put them in the chat box, and be happy to help. So thank you very much.